I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We've both been skull and bone, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on.
Sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I have duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
Welcome back, Already Deadheads, to your favorite weekly live call-in conspiracy show. It is the time of the schizo, that is for sure. Chimping ain't easy, but we're here to do it. Yes, we are living in Alex Jones's fever dream, and we have the whole world's gone topsy-turvy. Right wing is begging to take your guns and wants to kill the libertarians. And you got the left that's willing to rise up against a tyrannical state, but they'll probably do it in the most retarded way possible. Exactly. Austin, what's up, my friend? Pleasure to be with you as always. My ever-present co-host. So it's wild. How are you dealing with it? I think we've both had a little bit of. I had my morning show. It was kind of wild. This morning show, it felt like, because it was so much happening this weekend, and I didn't have a Monday show, so it was all... But I'm kind of glad I got a little bit of energy out, because I feel like I would have been chimping too fucking hard for Already Dead. I almost need to bring a more refined feel to an Already Dead, as opposed to full-on just primal chimp. But you had the same. I think you had whatever this is, so you probably got your chance to chimp out a little bit with Sam Tripoli and Brad Binkley, almost called him Alex for some reason. And sorry, Brad. And so yeah, we've both, I think, had a little bit of kind of being able to refine the palette of chimp that we're so I don't know. How are you feeling in this moment? Are you ready to rise up and overthrow this government and take up arms with your commie comrades or what?
Well, the problem is I very much feel like this is a precedent-setting operation, and I think, as we've mentioned many times in the past, they are pushing just as far as the agenda is concerned, in the worst possible direction, and we will find ourselves obviously just enduring the ultimate consequences and results of the manufactured consent and the nature of the partisan politics and the theater playing out in what looks like almost this very familiar Soros themed strategy of tension, which is eerily similar to that of Operation Chaos and the domestic destabilization of Gladio itself and color revolutions, which we've seen just too often in my lifetime personally, to not be able to identify and acknowledge the very same recycled techniques and tactics that they strategically rely upon. So I don't know, man. Whenever you understand the nature of these operations, I mean, what was the point of chaos, right? It was First of all, surveillance of protest movements was a key factor. It focused on groups like the Students for a Democratic Society, the Black Panther Party, and Women's Strike for Peace. The methods of the operation with the surveillance techniques involved, their physical surveillance required CIA agents to monitor activities of these targeted groups. They would then electronically eavesdrop on the groups as the agency utilized the technology to intercept the communications, which, by the way, is exactly what I believe Signal, Chat, and even WhatsApp have been designed to do, right? Is basically provide a platform which, end-to-end encryption, it's a facade, right? And in reality, they're archiving in a database and providing it to the intelligence apparatus and the national, basically the National Security Agency.
Well, real quick, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show. Did I tell you about James Konkin, the guy who got locked up recently, or have you seen about it? Locked up recently for Fed posting? So, like, to that point, I mean, it was on Twitter, and, like, obviously we're not talking, like, Signal chats, like, so maybe they haven't revealed their hand like this, but they admitted in that, they admitted in, you can go check out my old, I had a segment, We Are James Konkin, I think, on one of my morning shows, you could find it, to where I covered it. But yeah, he got busted for Fed posting. I went through all of it, and it was all, frankly, and it was by ICE. I believe someone was ICE initiated or something. It was about ICE agents. And he was essentially, if you look at it, it was Fed posting in the truest sense. Like James Konkin, that was his Twitter account. That's not his real name, but I might be able to see if I can find the article because it doesn't say his name and anything. It was on like Forbes, I believe, that or something like that the piece ran in. But yeah, he got busted for Fed posting. And one of the interesting things, I guess, kind of similar to that vein of what you're talking about, is some of the things that he got busted for were, I believe, tweets or DMs, or I think it was tweets that he had actually deleted. So, like, and these were like months ago, so it showed that X was saving them, even your deleted stuff, and furthermore, giving those deleted ones to the authorities for, like, let's be real, the most cockamamie fucking First Amendment nonsense. Like, you would think, like, I read it, like, looking to see, like, oh, did they find this guy legitimately plotting to murder some people? And no, it was like they took jokes out of context. It was Fed posting kind of stuff like, say, for example, if I would say with this example of Alex Pretti, this would be, kind of like me right now. I genuinely think, kind of, hey, lefties, this is what AR-15s are for. Like, I'm not someone who's necessarily, like, interested in, like, getting violent. But if you, like, that is the purpose. If you're being attacked by a horde of people, that is what an AR-15 is for. So, like, that's Fed posting, right? That's like, that straddles it was shit like that straddles the line. It's like, hey, well, it's like, oh no, you're not deferring to our magical authority. That's what it is. Right. You're like, hey, it's the kind of thing of like, hey, if someone attacks you, defend yourself. Oh my God, you're saying violence on feds or whatever. You're like, hey, you're revealing yourself. So, like, but yeah, to that point, just the idea that, like, that they are, this panopticon, like, that one was they openly telling them, like, if you read that article, you find out through that like X is giving the feds, like, this free speech platform is giving the feds openly and, like, no problem, just this information and deleted stuff and everything, stuff that's 100% just attacks on the First Amendment.
Man, this is again, this is the pretext, right? That is so. By the way, I'm gonna have to find it for you because it really is one of those things. If you read it and see the stuff he said, if you've ever been anyone who's ever, like, Boogaloo posted or been like 1776, went through that fucking, like, phase or anything. It will make your butthole pucker up because you're like, oh, they probably have this shit from years ago. And especially if you contextualize it with all the ICE stuff going on, you're like, it's not even a hop, skip, and a jump. It's a hop to, like, them hopping the fuck over to your fucking door with an administrative warrant that doesn't require a fucking signature for a judge, and they just come fucking busting your door down. So, like, no, I think again we're seeing this escalation in I think what is very much designed violence, right, in terms of what they hope to provoke from the general population. But I also think that in terms of just understanding operationally how they would sew themselves into these organizations that would very much stage these protests and obviously they were community organizers as well that were of the leadership of these groups, and you had the CIA and the FBI obviously through COINTELPRO and PATCON as well, just the ideological reversal, and you see the agents posing as sympathizers, not only to gather intelligence from within the movement itself, but there's examples of, if you remember our Watergate series, it was the officer who was essentially a double agent and involved with military intelligence, and that's where his loyalties ultimately lied. Carl Schaffler was his name, and he was the individual who was the first on the scene, just waiting outside the Watergate complex at 1 a.m. Remember, and because he was tipped off by the agents running this very much layered operation and essentially burning themselves in a way, but I think they were insulated from the ultimate consequences, certainly at least promised to have been. And but yeah, it's operationally in its inception at a certain point, right? And, just how layered it really was. But again, this in no way has ceased to exist, in my opinion. And so I think the strategy is alive and well. And for us to not be able to identify that, first of all, this feels like the vast majority of the culture war is a manufactured crisis, right? Like, and you have Trump out here. What was his statement? He says that Alex Pretti, he doesn't like that Alex Pretti was carrying a gun.
Yep.
I don't like that he had a gun. That's your right-wing God king, right?
The gun angle is insane. Like, because you do not need to even really be a gun guy to see, like, holy fucking shit balls. We've had, what was it? I believe Kristi Noem. I mean, hell, even just from the jump, the moment, the way we found out there was a gun, aside from the video, I guess officially, if you were following, is they literally posted just a photo of the gun on the seat of the car. Like, no context. This is like, I think this is around the time they made their statement, so it wasn't even like that. They probably weren't even really aware that videos were widely being circulated or whatever, so they're still trying to play that game, and you had, it was just, gun on, here's the gun. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm going to need more than just here's the gun. Like, because this is fucking America. And then it's like, he had 2 extra magazines. You're like, so? And then now we have today, I don't know if you saw, I haven't followed into it, looked up and to see, like, more details. But apparently, I guess supposedly, I haven't looked into it. I don't know how it could end up being bullshit. But supposedly now the line being run with is, I guess there's claims that they had run into him, a while back, like a week or two prior.
Oh my God.
And he had broken his rib, and so they were aware of him. And he hadn't, and I guess somehow they know he didn't bring his gun then. And so now the angle is, it looks like he was back for revenge.
No.
And you're like, or maybe he got assaulted and had a bone broken and was viciously traumatized and thought, I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I'm going to defend myself. There's no need for I'm going to. And you know what? All this does is proves it. This proves that he should have been carrying an AR-15. I bet you they wouldn't have fucking pushed him. It would have been a very different, and you know what? He would have had the proper loadout to deal with such a situation. So, I mean, not saying you should or shouldn't do that. I think you should try to de-escalate conflict. But to some extent, it is like, I don't know. I also don't want to get shot in the back of the fucking head. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah. No, I think it almost lends more to that backstory, right? To me, that additional layer of the narrative almost indicates potential prior involvement, if there was actually some network on the ground that was staging the operation, let's just say strategically. You would definitely have to rely upon certain assets, and let's just say it reminds me of the George Floyd incident, where clearly he was a part of a criminal organization, which I think had police protection, and they were basically utilizing the police in the local area to run that drug trafficking operation through these various businesses, which how many times have we witnessed that playbook, just as far as not only Iran-Contra, but even in Columbine and Littleton, right? Which I think it effectively applies as far as the exact same outcome in terms of the intelligence, the goals of the intelligence apparatus. And what do we have with how you perfectly stage a color revolution? You essentially engineer these protests, right, by funding the opposition groups. You control the outcome in this way by manufacturing the leadership and then appointing the personalities and the prominent figureheads that you can completely control and pull the strings to do your bidding. It's all about deliberate deception and essentially, in my opinion, just deceiving the public, right? So you have these organized protests that follow, and it's a blessing to have just do a show with Sam after he basically became a prophet in this context in terms of on Rogan, right? That viral clip that continues to resurface because of how much it applies from
which one? I feel like there's a few. Sam likes to tell. I feel like there's like a hand. There's at least a few of them that he rotates before he's like, oh, this is like that. And I'm like, well, you're gonna have to refresh me. Sorry.
Well, honestly, I have it. This is the one that went viral, and it's he's predicting essentially that how they will pivot from these LGBTQ plus riots and protests that were effectively being carried out during the prior election cycle, and they would essentially pivot this agenda into immigration riots and ICE riots, right? So it does perfectly apply, and we might as well play it at this point.
By the way, I guess while you get it set up, I do want to let people know the phone lines are open. 1-833-722-DEAD, 1-833-722-3323. Also, thanks for the money. Thank you, Mr. Boomer Sooner. Feed the Kitties Fund. I will give them a little munchies just for you. I got some melons from Clockwise. I'm not sure who these are going to, whether it's me or Austin, but either way, I do want to let you guys know we're both monetized now, so you guys can give me super chats as well. I think those might be both for me. I recognize those people, but one might be for you. So share the love, send it both our way. Give it all to me. But yeah, and if you want to play that clip, I guess you can go ahead now. But I just wanted to let people know the lines are open and say recognize some super chats real quick. Go ahead.
Honestly, it's just the point that I made, right? That he predicted essentially that exact strategy and playbook would be implemented upon us and the unsuspecting public that seems to always fall in place and march in lockstep. But what I found most interesting, and the reason that I mentioned these strange intelligence-sponsored community organizers, right, which I believe this does perfectly apply to that of Chaos and what Project Merrimack and these various sub-projects of Chaos and the domestic stabilization operation being ran within the various overlapping agencies. You have also as I had mentioned, the rapid response resistance networks, which I think Signal Chat is very much a part of, and so is WhatsApp. And that was the point as far as you had a lieutenant governor of apparently named Peggy Flanagan, right? And she is one of the administrations of, she's one of the administrators and members of the Signal Chat, right? Just as far as the board of directors, and apparently this is almost an implication that the state of Minnesota is potentially behind engineering some of these protests and these reactionary, organized again clashes with federal agents, which is clearly, I believe, by design. And so it does seem like it's entirely inorganic and almost completely manufactured. But if you look at this representative, what's his name, Alex Falconer, who I had mentioned earlier, this is strange.
In the pre-show, that's what you guys get for the pre-show. If you show
really?
up.
I thought I had mentioned it.
I think you mentioned it before. Maybe I'm retarded. You did in the show, but I wanted to let people know if you want additional context for things, you're going to have to be in the pre-show. But go ahead. This is Mr. Falconer. Coolest last name, but super dorky. Does not fit. Sorry.
My God, I mean, he seems to me like the most beta white male feminist version of the liberal progressive ideology and the reflection of, and
Tim Walz's younger brother energy.
Basically, and he's also in a hilarious way addressing a room filled with black activists, which just it just seems absolutely cartoonish. But again, he's urging people to send alerts to these Discord, or not Discord, but these signal chat groups, apparently, that he's urging them to join as well. And this will help alert the Resistance Network, who will immediately have resources made available to the protesters. And so I instantly thought of the pallets of bricks, right, that were being staged outside in the No Kings protests, and being staged very conveniently and strategically in these areas that were either near a federal building or let's just say a perfect staging ground for almost providing the powder keg, which only would need the spark, obviously. And I think that's very much the goal. And if you remember January 6th and how much this reminds me personally of, as I had mentioned with Renee Good, this feels like the ideological reversal of Ashley Babbitt in a real way. And you have these low frequency, as I'd mentioned privately, and to you, just addressing kind of my frustration. They have almost just in such an efficient way flipped the script on these low frequency ideologues, right, who are entirely captured. And so now we have the left wing, as you had mentioned at the beginning, somehow defending the Second Amendment in a way.
Cool.
And the right to carry. And I mean, let's find some common ground. But
real quick, I do want to comment on that. For anyone seeing this right now, keep in mind, they're no different than the right. So like 10 years from now, when we're getting the whatever new caucus of whatever thing saying, oh, we must ally with the left, keep in mind, they'll sell you out all the same. So just don't be a bitch and succumb to team mentality. And I don't know, think for yourself. The only team is we're a team of individuals. I don't fucking know. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, imagine if just basically having the moral consistency and ethical values in place and a real foundation that you can rely upon, to where you don't just basically pick up and follow whichever way the wind blows in terms of the public sentiment and the political environment. And one last point, it's basically simultaneously we're witnessing the right wing championing the ICE Gestapo death squads, that domestic death squads, which again just perfectly moving the agenda of the permanent establishment steadily forward, right? And so I feel like we're just witnessing the lowest hanging fruit as far as the ability to go ahead.
Sorry, I just gotta say, I love the malding from the right of like all the like, oh, you guys were like, it's almost like a Charlie Kirk thing where like they're reflexive, like you guys were the ones who did yada 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 on COVID, and it's like there's plenty of us who are like, nah, not me, bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so how about you address that?
No shit.
I'm also not for this fucking ICE bullshit. If anything, I've become more wide-eyed on this issue, to more the idea of like, why the fuck would we empower the government? Did you know that it's almost the budget in the past year for ICE has increased almost 8-fold? Almost, I'm not even like, it hovered around like 10 billion to like now it's almost to 90 billion now. Yeah, and that's how it's been. It's this, it
was written in.
Yeah, so it's it's over doubled in the Manning, and I just so I'm like. So all these people are like, oh, we're trying to conserve, or somehow we're liberty oriented. We're trying to reduce the government, or yada yada. Like, bitch, are you fucking retarded? Like,
I'm pretty sure I saw a statistic that ICE, just as a federal agency, is more well financed and has a larger budget than like a litany of world, just as far as like
third largest army, I think, is what everyone keeps repeating.
Yeah, that's what I was about to try and explain. But yeah, exactly. And after this clip, though, just as far as I think we should get into the Alex Pretti shooting just a little bit, and I know you discussed it this morning, but I have a few things I want to at least mention.
Oh, yeah.
And
let's jump out, brother.
Hell yeah! And there's a great video that I think will help set the stage as well, but touches on so much of what we've been kind of alluding to. But anyway, let's play this
real quick. Much love to you, Abrogate D's. Thanks for the super chat. Good evening to you. Much love, brother. Hope to see you again sometime. Saw him back in Bohemian Grove when I was outside of the event, exiled.
Dude, I might be in Florida again in March for that. So if that's the case, then we're gonna have to figure something out and set something up. So
hell yeah, dude. Are we gonna call her? Right as we're about to start.
Shit, man! Don't do this.
We're gonna have to do other 30 minutes setting up the clip after this caller.
No. We're gonna actually play it after the caller.
Yeah, let's do the caller. Caller, what's up? And then we gotta play your clip from last week we never played. You're not allowed to handle clips anymore, Austin.
Stop it.
We have Brandon on the line.
What's up, Brandon?
What's up, Brandon?
What's going on? Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up, dude?
As always, the clip gets interrupted, so sorry about that.
No worries. It's my fault.
I just wanted to say a few random things. So the first thing, I don't know if you guys saw, I'm the little Bobby Hill profile picture, Jose, that always sends you links and shit like every day.
Hell yeah.
And all
appreciate it. Much love.
And yep. And the one I sent you guys today, I don't know if you saw, but the replacement for TikTok, the up scrolled, someone tweeted out that effectively the guy used to work for Oracle, and I went on his LinkedIn to confirm that he was there for like 4 or 5 years, and obviously like Larry Ellison, Oracle, etc. So it's like you're talking about shepherding people from one side to the other. It kind of feels like an example of that.
Ellison's media monopoly, it comes to fruition. Remember, we discussed it on the show just, I don't know, a couple months ago, but from CBS to TikTok, there's an article from Responsible Statecraft that I just read yesterday about this, and how the sale of, very quietly, by the way, the sale of TikTok was finally officially sealed. And this includes a brand new board of directors, apparently, who are, of course, staunchly pro-Israel and very much Zionists and the usual suspects, so to speak. And so with Oracle on the board, with Oracle itself has like a 15% share, I think, and upwards of 80% in terms of the entire cabal of Zionists who are within the same structure that were among the, if you remember when the AI infrastructure bill, Project Stargate, I think is what it was called, was implemented. It was obviously Ellison and a couple of others I can't recall now.
Do you remember all the Parler stuff? Do you remember like Parler when social media was going through its crisis of and Parler came out and then got nuked shortly after? This does give very much Parler vibes, but like kind of obviously, but in a slightly different.
It's like the basically the financiers of the Vegas shooting almost are involved. You have the MGX and the Emirati investment firm, Silver Lake obviously is involved, another investment firm, and they'll both have like a 15% share, I think, or stake in the company. But yeah, Ellison, the single largest private investor, obviously, and his friends in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, obviously are among the strange group of individuals with a stake in the new version of TikTok. So once again, it's like, man, this is the just as far as a perfect vessel for implementing the social engineering agenda and the ideological deception playing out. So not at all surprised that it went very much under acknowledged in the mainstream media, right?
Brandon, let's go, Brandon. I'm actually looking at it right now. I would bring it up, the tweet you talked about. But yeah, it is. That does. I mean, this is what I think it's from Sir Escanor. I've seen him a bunch on Twitter, and yeah, it's just pointing out some weird. I will say he does sometimes gets a little bit overly schizo. I don't follow him or anything closely, but I have seen a couple. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? But yes, I mean, this seems to track. It totally makes sense. You know, the whole playing both sides. But I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Anything we said? Anything you want to expand on? And there's always a little bit of a delay, I think, with the call in. Although you do have a good connection, so I don't want to talk all over you. But yeah, maybe we'll see. I don't know what segments I'll have for the morning show tomorrow, but that definitely could easily fit in.
Yeah, if you search his LinkedIn, it says he was there from 2013 to 2017, headquartered in Dubai.
Okay, well that's pretty. It's pretty damning because he's supposed to be this pro-Palestinian or friendly to pro-Palestinian voices, and yet he worked for Oracle, this I know super subservient IDF. It was like the largest funder of the IDF or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for like what did you say, like 4 or 5 years? I think you just said. So yeah, sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, and then to go totally schizo and change gears, I have a question for Jacob.
Hell yeah.
I was just JJ Vance sent him a link to ASAP Rocky doing like a pentagram ritual type thing, and that was circulating. And I responded to the two of them with a tweet from Ian Connor. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the whole ASAP mob and Ian Connor and all the fashion stuff.
No.
He basically tweeted out the other day that Rocky killed ASAP Yams.
I did see that
held their group together. Yeah, you saw that. And so I started digging and looking into that, and apparently that was from a music video for Was Up in like 2012 or 2014. And I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that, because it kind of debunks the theory that he was killed in like this weird ritualistic way. But at the same time, like Ian Connor was so close to Rocky for years, it's kind of fishy. And I started looking into like all the kind of witchy symbolism around Michelle Lamy, however you pronounce her name, who was the wife of Rick Owens, who's the big fashion designer. And around 2015, she and ASAP Rocky did the art direction for his album, I think at Long Last ASAP in 2015. And Yams died in 2015, a few months later, it seems like, potentially. And if you look at Lamy, she's close friends with Marina Abramovic. And then you start tracing back all that stuff, like the QAnon adjacent shit. So I know that's a lot to say, but curious your thoughts.
So, I mean, as far as like ASAP Rocky and all that, I don't really have an opinion. Michelle Lamy, though, she is straight up a witch. I mean, just look at her. You know, I hate to pull the judge a book by its cover argument, but honestly, just look at her. I mean, dude, she carries her husband's head as a purse, you know, like it's wild. And also, I mean, she is like best friends with the top of the top in the entertainment industry. So, you know, she is weird. She is absolutely weird. I would never want to be around her. But I don't know. I think obviously there's something strange going on in hip hop and rap community. I mean, it's owned and it's completely fabricated. So I don't know. I don't think that he probably died in a weird way, but hell, dude, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, these are manufactured people, so who knows exactly what's going on.
They're finger blasting each other's assholes.
Yep. I looked up Michelle Lamy's background too. She was like a defense lawyer for the philosopher Gilles Deleuze, however you pronounce his name, which is like a pretty big deal. And she has a daughter whose name is literally Scarlet Rouge, and she does like performance art and stuff. And I looked on her website; she has like references to Kabbalah, and she has like John Dee's Monas Hieroglyphica symbol and all that. So it's like. And then also a friend of mine told me that Tilda Swinton, the actress, is like part of this landed gentry that goes way back. They're called Clan Swinton, and they traced their land back to 1066. They're like one of the only 3 British families that you can trace their lineage back. And she's really close with both Marina Abramovic and Michelle Lamy. So all those like
I got to stop you there.
You're like
the probably the most notable performer. I mean, obviously she's a really great actress, you know, Tilda Swinton. But probably the most notable, in sort of pop culture for her right now is, I believe, what's it called, the Ancient One or whatever? I forget what it's called. But in Doctor Strange, it's like the previous Sorcerer Supreme, this like mystical peak magician. Which I just gotta say, like, if you are, if you're like, this is a goy slop manufactured nonsense, and that's the role they cast her in, it feels significant the way you're describing her right now. But go on.
Oh yeah, and I did a ChatGPT rant. Like I ran it through. I'm like, how many times did Tilda Swinton play either like a queen or a dark witch? And it was like 4 or 5. It was like all the.
Oh, she was like not the Wicked Witch. I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk over you again, but she was wasn't she in the Lion, the Witch, and the Narnia ones, and the Narnia series? She was the. What is it called? The Ice Queen or whatever. I actually read all the books, but I can't remember her name when I was a kid. But but yeah, so she was literally the evil witch, like the antithesis to the. Go ahead.
After reading, just that Coen Brothers film is so poignant and perfectly just in terms of the lens into the world of intelligence and how much of it is just sloppy as hell and compartmentalized to the point of barely even understanding the objective involved with the operation and what the original goals were. It's just very funny. Anyway, perfect.
Sorry, we stepped all over you.
What movie is that?
That's Burn After Reading.
Oh yeah.
So funny,
before
man.
I go, I just want to read this really quick. I just looked this up. It said 2011, A$AP Rocky met with Michelle Lamy for the first time, and he called her the dark queen of fashion. And then the other day he was on Joe Budden and he said, quote, like Budden was pressing him because, like the weird black stigma with like Christianity and any satanic symbols, they respond really negatively. And so Budden was pushing back on his connection to Michelle Lamy, A$AP Rocky. And Rocky said, quote, I can't justify the dark shit and weird shit she do. Do she worship the devil? I wouldn't know because she don't do none of that shit around me. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
That is interesting. Man, I feel like the Hollywood industrial complex is very real. And the Laurel Canyon effect is what, just as far as the vast majority of the most prominent celebrities, more than likely have endured some level of mind control, I would think, just even to adopt some of the more almost characters of themselves, as you see, just in terms of like Kanye in the very moment, right? What do you see? You see his new statement of apology, right? Where it's like he's talking about his past comments was about Nazis and Jews was due to a mental health manic episode. And yeah, it just, again, it's like, what are we doing here? I'm very much
feeding into the narrative. It's like he rolled out the red carpet for Candace Owens for they opened up reopened the asylums. Now she gets to come out being all fucking wacky and retarded, throwing shit at the wall. People are going to accuse her of being crazy, and if she inevitably goes too far, as we've thought she might a couple times, ta-da, you make things verboten. You may even get. They want to. I mean, look, they're murdering people in the streets. They would love to be able to get to where if you just say, "Oh, holy shit, they're doing Jewy shit over there. Oh, congrats. Go to the loony bin. You're crazy. Look at you. Well, you're nuts."
You just laid out the framework of how, being a dissenting voice or even having social media posts that obviously ruffle feathers in the current environment due to the anti-Semitic pretext and justification to crack down on our ability to exercise our First Amendment rights on social media. What comes after, just in terms of, imagine a world where the heightened sense of what was it, the Reagan administration? I can't remember when it was basically at its height, and the vast majority, you were seeing just absurd statistical numbers as far as domestic citizens being institutionalized, right? If you just look at the history of eugenics and the transhumanist movement within the domestic U.S., I mean, we've mentioned before how the argument at the Nuremberg trials by many of the Nazi scientists was that they were just copying the same exact methods of the eugenics policies in the United States, and how they treated even women with loose morals at the time, and they would institutionalize them and what's the term when they basically end their ability to procreate.
Sterilized.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also this heinous operation that the United States ran covertly in Puerto Rico, and we're talking generations of Puerto Rican women who were sterilized and effectively had no ability to have children. And
but let me tell you about the negative effects. No, I'm just kidding. That's a bad joke.
Yeah. You terrible, you bastard. I'm married to a Puerto Rican.
I'm just kidding. I don't even have anything against Puerto Ricans. It was just an opportunity for a dumb joke.
I knew it. Dude. No, but I just felt like, this is once again how they exploit every last opportunity, right, to again move the agenda forward and push the goalposts into that unfortunate direction. But yeah, what else you got, Brandon? Sorry, I didn't mean to keep going.
We got a clip to get to.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, if you want a break, I'll drop. But I have a couple of things I wrote down to say if I had time. One of them is I got to shout out this guy. He's got a new Twitter account within the last year. His name is David Lee Rothschild, and his username is DLRTHSCHLD. And he's just been finding crazy little.
You want to spell it again? Sorry, not to be a dick, but I'm actually typing in.
Yep, DLR capital, and then lowercase THSCHLD.
All right, we'll see if all right, go ahead. Sorry, I'm looking it up. Go ahead. All right, I typed it in wrong.
Yeah, and when they did the photo, I can read it again, but he posted this image of this hanging woman from Epstein's apartment. I don't know if you guys saw that man. And he pointed out that matched this image of the Black Madonna, which I believe is tied into the concept of Shekinah in Kabbalah, which is like the divine, mystic, feminine energy of the universe. And he pointed out that that's a Frankist thing. And he put me onto this book called The Mixed Multitudes, which is a history of Jacob Frank. And I just bought a copy of the Shabbatai Zevi, the Gershom Scholem 1,000-page book. So whenever I have time with work, I'm going to try to do a back-to-back read and hopefully come on your guys' show and talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, dude. So I'm ready for a deep dive into some anti-Semitism. Let's do it, baby.
Give me a chance to
justified anti-Semitism. There's unjustified, there's justified. I think, let's be fair. I mean, if you're going to attribute, Sabbatainism to Judaism, come on. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, not to get on a rant, but it is like, I mean, we joke like, oh no, you're anti-Semitic. Like, I guess it depends on how you define it, but that's a religion. And I know it'll be like, oh, anti-Christian, that's a belief system. So to be like this, is that really that ridiculous to be like, yeah, I have some qualms with this belief system. So obviously, to be fair, the Jews don't accept the Frankists, at least not openly, wink, wink.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We've discussed the Bachabazi and the concept of any Orthodox Jews who are applying or exercising that strict ideological, kind of.
No one will give you shit for being anti-Muslim.
You're essentially a pedophile, right? Like, just in my opinion, and at least engaging. I mean, that's what we've discussed in the past. So
I was joking, like you said that to me. Go ahead.
No, but
the way you said it sounded like kind of. But go on.
No, it's just there's too much as far
guys,
as
real quick. We got another caller on the line.
Holy shit, Brandon! Right, we're gonna have to kick you to the curb. Come back when you're ready to do that deep dive. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'd be down to honestly probably do like a whole episode with you if you actually have like a lot of notes and stuff. Do like a legit. I'm not kidding. I brought on Jared, one of the patrons, and I don't know if you give me money, but you help the show out enough. I'll do an episode with you. Not even that. It's a compelling topic. So I would love to do like an actual dedicated episode of that. So if you do actually decide to go read the works of Zabbatai Ziva, or however the fuck you say his name, I forget. We'd love to have you on, but we'll have to let you go. We do have another caller. Let's bring that other person in, and we'll play the clip next week, I guess. Okay, I guess Jacob. Actually, you know what, Jacob? I don't know. I guess it might take him a minute to set up the other call or something because he did leave to come back. So I don't know. Maybe play the clip real quick, Austin. Play it quick.
Okay,
play it quick.
Right.
Now.
Hold on, dude. Hold on.
So we'll play the clip, and then we'll bring on the next caller. Sorry if we're making you wait. I don't know how long this clip is. I don't know how much I'm biting off here. Let's go ahead and play it.
You know, yesterday we had the young man, 13-year-old, handcuffed by ICE. His father taken away. I arrived there as soon as I could. I talked to some of the family members. It's devastating.
Devastating.
And I don't know.
He's gonna cry.
Just going home,
dude,
and talking to my kids about what happened and how this is affecting our community. These are terrible times. But we will get through it. We'll get stronger for it.
Oh my God! They're saying crisscross applesauce.
That was the best part to me. I almost died when I saw this audience. Look how little they give a fuck about what he's saying too. No. Like that, at least their faces.
Where are the chairs at, nigga?
For real though.
And we will look out for one another. Before coming to the state legislature, I'm a community organizer at heart, and that's part of what I'm trying to bring to the legislature. I'm helping to lead the community response, rapid response network that we have, given any ICE situations. I have a couple cards here. I'm willing to stop in to stay around and talk with anybody that wants any more information. We've got a couple groups on the app Signal that we would love for you to join. Whether or not you want to be part of the Resistance Network, I fully understand that you may not be comfortable with that, but you can help us in a lot of ways by sending an alert that if you see any suspicious vehicles, any traffic, if you know of anybody that is being targeted, that's being detained, we have resources immediately available that we can send to you, send to their family, get them legal help the families if they need food, if people are afraid to leave their homes to get food. We're working with the food shelves to try to figure out a way to deliver groceries. I know yesterday apartment complexes needed their parking lots plowed and people were being taken as they were moving their cars. We can move your car for you. Just please, like anything, small, large, we are here for you. And we will stand with you. We'll stand for you.
Yeah, exactly. How much does this feel like it's legitimately organic?
I gotta be honest here, Austin. I clowned him. It is funny. The visual is hilarious. But by the end, he kind of won me back. And I'm like, these are especially, I don't know, these seem like legitimate community. I don't love him. I do think he's like, come on, dude. He's like a LOL cow, as the kids say. He is hilarious, but it is like, he's like a Will Stansel energy. He's like, but at the same time, I find it endearing because it does sound like it actually, I do feel like genuine care for his community, and these are genuine problems in the community. Like, oh no, this guy's very locally I don't know. Like, yeah, some of the resistance, the language of it felt a little bit gay, but like otherwise, it's like this is kind of great. Like, I don't know.
The crux of the issue is within the compromised nature of the tools that they are providing. Right. And I think through that, even if you are acting in good faith and you genuinely do believe that, you will somehow usher in a better world through your political activism, which I think is, again, a very naive perspective on reality and the power structure. It's
they did all look like they were promised snacks, though.
100%.
You're like, when are we getting the snacks?
Definitely. There had to have been a payoff because that did not look like the vast majority were interested at all or invested in what he had to say. But I don't know.
Right. Let's get to this caller, though. That is funny. I mean,
it was great, right? It's a good clip.
What's up, caller? You're on with Austin and Jose on Already Dead.
Oh, greetings, gents. Is this the number one conspiracy caller on the interweb?
Hell yeah, is this JJ?
JJ Vance here, not the vice president. Part-time vampire hunter. It's kind of difficult to explain.
Oh my God.
I was enjoying the show. I felt necessary to call in.
Hell yeah, brother. Buddy.
What you got for us? Man, how are you faring? Everything went well in
I'm doing
Mexico.
better.
I'm sorry, I'm going to keep talking over you.
Yeah,
JJ.
so you keep talking, and it's the delay. You got to give a minute. We're all going to stop, and we're going to let JJ say his piece.
No, you're good, sir. I got a bit of a delay here, obviously. I'm an international caller, so you guys got an international program now. You didn't know.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm finishing up here in Mexico a bit earlier. I actually took a job as a manager of a ranch, a bison ranch in Montana. So I'm moving there this week, actually. I'm going to have to come back and finish some more of my treatments later. I got the stem cells done. I got the dead baby Mexican injections in me, so that's good.
Okay.
Well, no, great stuff, though. Great stuff. I was listening to the Michelle Lemmy pieces, the ASAP Rocky pieces. I saw Uncle Ted put a comment in the chat there at one point that all of his gangster rap was a Wackenhut PSYOP, and I could not agree more.
Exactly. I was just talking about Wackenhut last night with Wackenhut with Sam and Brad, just because obviously I was reminded of the book by I think it was Keith, what's his name? It's called The Octopus, right? And it's basically what I primarily relied on whenever I covered within my episode, I called Hunting the Insular Octopus, I think is what I called it. But Jim Keith was one of the authors, and I believe there was one other co-author as well. But yeah, I was telling Jose and Brad and Sam both, all of just as far as the price of the hard copy is like from $175 to $300 to get a copy of this book. Yeah, I did read The Last Circle as well. I think Sherry Seymour is, I don't know, people have definitely questioned her credibility and the fact that she could be some sort of controlled opposition, limited hangout. I'm not entirely certain, but I do know as far as just the level of, how much I've been introduced to her. I've only really read through The Last Circle, and then I saw her on one interview, and I can't quite remember what the context was, but I'm pretty sure it was anyway. The point being is that obviously Wackenhut I was referencing because of how much they were involved in the fascist paramilitary underground networks in Belgium and the NEM clubs and all this that was very much a part of the Gladio operation, the strategy of tension, subverting society in Belgium at the time. This massive, like I'm telling you, just as far as the level of internal reporting and documentation that's proving the level of control within the network, judges, district attorneys, prosecutors, police protection involved as clients of the local pedophile nightclub, the Dolo, which Léa Trabat was the predecessor of, which were founded by French Freemasons that were members of basically Le Cercle and what was the other? Anyway, Opus Dei, P2. It's just, it's fascinating stuff whenever you actually, the craziest part, and what I thought, just as far as like one day we'll actually get to it on the Dutroux series with Jose, it's just insane to have a direct connection to a CIA agent, a member of Israeli military intelligence involved directly as an arms trafficker for Iran-Contra, both being on the board of directors for basically this defense contractor, right, named ASCO, which is like basically they manufacture these defense these various it's this aerospace industrial company essentially is what it is, but they have a factory in Belgium is the point. And it's fascinating because it was what Regina Louf called the factory of the films. And it turns out I discovered an internal report called the Atlas Report or the Atlas Dossier, which happened to be apparently the gendarmes, right? It was a confidential report that was created and issued by the Special Investigations Unit of the Belgian Gendarmerie in Liège. And essentially, it was meant to report directly to that of, the higher echelon leadership of the government at the time. And I found it fascinating because within the introduction, and by the way, they called it Le Nebulous. And it was apparently this supranational network that not only involved pedophilia and the distribution of child pornography and snuff films, but you have a direct connection to Iran-Contra and the financing and facilitation of this agenda and network, utilizing organized crime syndicates, cartels, BCCI, and this very sinister international, clandestine network. Which the only point I'm trying to make, though, is that in this report, right, the introduction of the Belgian gendarmerie report, which again was to a number of these senior officials in the District of Liège, they described the network, and it had to be translated, obviously, as to comprehend this nebula. It is necessary to abandon traditional financial or political logic. This is not merely a question of nation, political party, or of ordinary economics. Our conclusion would be that at least over the last 20 years, the economic powers, some of which mafia types have allied themselves with political forces and organized criminal structures and reached the fourth stage of money laundering, namely absolute power. It has been specified to us that at the present moment, these characters control 50% of the world economy. And that was in November of 1994. And I just thought,
that seems like a very conservative estimation, in my opinion. Because
that's how I felt too.
Know each other. It's a very expensive network.
Right.
Yeah. Well, when you're saying, what you're describing, I think the throughput of that narrative, Austin, is compromised individuals. So compromised individuals and compromised things. In regards to Sherry Seymour, her husband sat on the National Security Council. So, I mean, you want to talk about compromised individuals. And I'm not saying you can't extrapolate facts from some of her work, but that's not what I'm saying at all. Go ahead.
Right. I know it's hard for.
And then in regards to the, go ahead, sir.
No, you're good. You're good, JJ. Go ahead.
Oh. And in regards to the octopus book, you mentioned with Jim Keith, Ken Thomas, I would argue, is the compromised individual, not equation. Jim Keith met a very untimely death. Along with his buddy, Ron Bonds, they both died of a strange Clostridium poisoning.
Right.
Now, it gets even weirder because Jim Keith falls off a stage at Burning Man, gets a knee replacement, and gets Clostridium poisoning in regards to the tissue he was installed in his new knee. Now, that tissue came from a tissue bank, a bio company down in Atlanta, Georgia. Ron Bonds dies from Clostridium poisoning at a Mexican restaurant less than 1 mile from that lab.
God.
Now, we're talking about a death, I think, nearly 18 months apart in, approximately 2,500 miles.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the origin point is right back down there. So when you're looking at a lot of these, the narratives that are being pushed in some of these old, books from the 90s and whatnot, be it Seymour's or Keith and Ken Thomas, I think there is something to be said about compromised individuals. And the Iran-Contra money laundering operation is an extensive network that exists to date. I've covered that a lot in my Idaho 4 murder case coverage as a result of President Scott Green, who was in league with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX with his law firm. He ran the world's largest corporate law firm before he took the job at the University of Idaho. And then he tried to make this weird deal with Leon Black, who owns Apollo Global Management, and the unlawful acquisition of the University of Phoenix. Now, Leon Black is a BCCI money launderer confirmed. And he's also paid over $200 million to Epstein victims. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried teamed up with a different money launderer from BCCI named John Galison, a creepy French fella that invented the cartoon Inspector Gadget. Now, no one's been held accountable for any crime, so they bought out a bank called Farmington State Bank. This is, in my opinion, the precipitating event that caused those murders, because once the world found out on November 11th in an emergency bankruptcy with FTX, they had purchased a small rural bank in Washington. And you can just look at the FDIC reports. When Jalopin and Bankman-Fried buy out the bank and they turn the name to Moonstone Bank, thereby violating every banking law possible because you can't mix cash and crypto under the same roof. Again, these are not the charges Bankman-Fried's in prison for.
Right.
Now, when the world found out that they had done that on an emergency bankruptcy on November 11th, that actually goes back to November 9th in the University of Idaho with Scott Green's law firm and the corporate arbitrage that had fallen out, causing FTX to file bankruptcy. So there's a chronology of events that leads right to the murders, which I would argue is the precipitating event, because once the world found out about ongoing money laundering. It's the same folks dating back to BCCI and Castle Bank and Trust, etc. Well, they had to clean up the operation. And when you have to clean up an operation, if you have loose ends and liabilities, well, they have a way of dealing with this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense, honestly. Man, it's just so obvious that Iran-Contra was a strategic playbook and just kind of the window into the operational standpoint of how they engage in this level of really facilitating the most violent aspects of the black market that they solely benefit from and exploit to their benefit as well. And in no way was I surprised to find additional direct connections to Iran-Contra involved with Belgian Gladio, and especially the fascist paramilitary organizations.
Well, we brought this up multiple times. We got Epstein. Epstein was all involved in the fucking Iran-Contra. Was it? I think Pottinger, I think was the guy that, and a couple other people. I think he was living at his place. And then we've talked about how for a while there, Epstein was illegally, essentially being let by the feds, living in the Iranian embassy. That was in New York. It was, and then on top of that, he was subletting it out to a whole bunch of people. One of which was the lawyer for the French Connection trials in relation to the Sicilian or whatever the fuck it was called. Was it called the pizza? I forget what the fuck it was called, but essentially it was a. Was it called the Pizza Affair or what?
Connection as well?
Pizza Connection. That was also the names, but the pizza being significant because they were trafficking heroin out of pizza shops. But you think of these cast of characters and you're like, yo, what the fuck is going on here?
I'm telling you, man, it's crazy.
Mafia, no, you're spot on with the mafia. And Epstein had the largest. He had the largest Ponzi scheme. He beat out the guy who named the scheme after Ponzi. You know what I mean? With his Ponzi scheme would be with Steve Hoffenberger. Now,
where he fucked him over and he managed to run away with millions, and he was essentially informant likely.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell, so Hoffenberger gets 18 years in prison and gets $100 million restitution if he pays, and old Jeffrey, he walks, right? None of that. So the same goes for Leon Black and Michael Milliken. Michael Milliken and Leon Black are the next biggest Ponzi scheme, right? And same deal there. Milliken held accountable restitution, Leon Black walks, right? So you can see the same pattern kind of permeating throughout the process there.
Exactly, man. Yeah, and what's hilarious is that it seems like not only there were multiple avenues of essentially distributing the drug trafficking operations, but I will say it was like in Son of Sam, they used the medical supplies as a cutout. I think, obviously we've mentioned the pizza shops and even the Subway sandwich shop in Littleton there near Columbine. And beyond that, I think it was Paul van den Beinitz, right? The former prime minister of Belgium who had two separate administrations and was allegedly so hilarious that there was a story of how he was basically kidnapped, but it was it was a scam for the network itself to essentially provide them with millions of dollars more in additional financing, and especially the individual who was responsible for the kidnapping was a member of the network and one of the sons of obviously one of the higher echelon and leadership members of the clientele at the Dolo Club and things, where those two girls were, by the way, obviously hypnotized at Rasta Rosselli or whatever his name was, the expert hypnotist at his show that night publicly, still in a trance, obviously, whenever the public left the venue, and then were never to be seen again and were abducted into the network that very night. And allegedly, were killed and buried on one of Dutro's properties. But I think additional witnesses claim to have seen them basically being moved by individuals and the procurers within the network itself, and even brought to one of Nihul's nightclubs where they were murdered in a snuff film on behalf of the enterprise. That's the story. And the ASCO branch in Malta was directly connected in with Paul van den Beinitz because it was the same address of his Mediterranean meat company, which was being investigated for drug trafficking. Yeah, it was being investigated for drug trafficking hidden inside of frozen meat. which we talked about, even the cadaver connection, right, with Fort Bragg and how they're bringing over.
I'm glad you said that, sir. I'm glad you brought that up.
Go ahead, JJ.
Yeah, because everyone thinks that drugs get just shipped in like packages that are marked cocaine or they're marked heroin. No, that's not how drugs get shipped. What you're describing is how illicit materials get shipped. I mean, Coca-Cola's been busted with importing cocaine in numerous countries. I'm just saying. In their shipments of Coca-Cola products, they have packaged cocaine bundles inside the shipments there. So it's happened numerous times. In fact, the DEA has issued Coca-Cola, I believe, the only license in which to handle cocaine in this nation as a corporate, FDA kind of certification. Here's one for y'all in regards to drug trafficking. Y'all remember the Tiger King thing that came out during the shutdowns there of the cough in 2020?
Yes.
The meth head from Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you about to bring up how that one...
Tiger King.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you were about to bring up the Marco Rubio's brother-in-law that was featured, or no, I believe the brother-in-law's cartel leader that he worked for or whatever that I believe showed up in the Tiger King. Okay. I don't know if that's what you're about to riff on.
He's like
absolutely.
15.
Yeah, sir. Are you a brain hole?
I'm good at this shit, dude. Day in, day out, baby boy.
Oh my god.
Go on.
Joe Exotic got himself in trouble because he was the handler of all the ledgers for all the shipments of all those animals. And I assert they were shipping drugs in those shipments because that guy you're discussing about Marco Rubio's buddy, he is the character basis for the film Scarface.
Oh my god. That's so funny. No, yeah. That's just fascinating that obviously Rubio
Joe Exotic will never give up them ledgers, and they'll never let him out of prison until he gives up them ledgers.
Right. Yeah, and obviously Rubio's the key proponent and figure. Very much just
against South American narco terrorism.
Yeah, perpetrating the narco terrorist agenda exactly with Venezuela, which is just perfect as far as it always reminds me of how much it really is. Not necessarily a direct application of Confessions of an Economic Hitman, because this is illegal drug trafficking, but it's capping the competition at a certain level, right? And you're basically,
playbook.
Yeah, you're definitely at the very least, I think, promoting the organization that special interests that are obviously looming behind you, and clearly that involves propping up an illegal drug trafficking network, which I would imagine would solely benefit from taking over the illegal drug trade in the context of Venezuela, and even just geographically speaking for the shipment process for the network itself. It would make sense to want to have a very strong footprint there. I don't know.
All right, JJ, JJ, let's if you want, I'll let you get kind of to a stopping point. We'll have to let you go. We do need to get to intermission and then get to the second part of the show. We want to get Austin here at a good time. He's fucking run ragged. It's a complete inverse of the normal. Austin asked me to keep it short this time around, and I'm been charged to rein him in when he gets when he loses it. So we're gonna stay on time. JJ, this is actually all very intriguing. So whatever you got to add to this, because it is very intriguing and it all ties together and it is nuts. But definitely call in again, or you're obviously always welcome to come on as an actual guest too. We like to do guests occasionally, but I know you're kind of on the road. But anything more about Tiger King and how he's clearly... I mean, it is weird. Let's be real. This motherfucker was at a moment when they needed a crazy distraction, he kind of became the talk of the town. And is you start to see these connections now, and you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? So, yeah.
Well, no, I would love to join you as a guest sometime. Let me know if I'm not too busy with my bisons. I have plenty of time. My job as a caretaker only takes a couple hours a day. So, I'll do this on Tiger King. I appreciate y'all gents' time, and definitely come back anytime. Let me know. We're all happy to call in anytime as well. But yeah, Tiger King, came at a great time, didn't it, as a distraction. Now, there was a guy in the first season. Well, first of all, you have that guy in South Carolina. He's a human trafficker. That weird Baga big fellow there. And all of his animals are used in Hollywood shoots over the years, so that's a weird connection. And then you have the Joe Exotic, the guy that came in and took over his whole operation. That one guy with the Ferrari, the rented Ferrari, and was proving himself as a millionaire, but wasn't. He looks identical to Carol Baskin's missing first husband, the one that's allegedly, everyone says he murdered on the Tigers. Put a picture of the two next to each other. So you have a fake guy with a fake name and a fake persona, and it's identical to the allegedly dead guy. I'm just saying.
That's hilarious.
Well, all right, JJ, we'll see you in the next one. Jacob, you want to go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage? I don't know how easily you can shift from one to the other, but pleasure having you on. But let's go ahead and get that intermission going. I got to take a leak. Perfect timing. We'll be back in a few minutes, ready to start fresh with y'all. We'll bring on patrons for any of them want to come on. That is an exclusive perk you guys get if you support me and / or Austin on our Patreons. We drop those links, and so you can come in and join the show, and you kind of just like a guest would. And you guys can field calls with us, shoot the shit, whatever. But yeah, we'll try to get to Austin's elusive clip from last week. We'll lead with it. Austin, be ready. Have that ready.
All right.
Let's not even vamp. Like, I mean, we can kind of. These influencers be crazy. Why do they be crazy, Austin? Play clip. There you go. But play that beautiful bean footage, Jacob. We'll see you guys in a few.
Demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's over-fulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all these experts would even dream such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom.
Mass failed before, enlisted soldiers awaken on earth. It's time for justice, just like before. Our troops protect and serve while the other coming home. So much regret, another killed by war. Such a tragedy. Innocent soldiers obey their orders. When I say rise up, you say war. When I say rise up, you say war. Rise up, war. Rise up, war. Rise up, war. Rise up, war. The smell of death reeks through the air. The stench of burning bodies, bloodshed everywhere. Scattered remains and bullet shells. Send in the dogs of war, unleash the house of hell. It's time to rise up. It's time to rise for war. It's time to rise up. Black is death and red is war.
Shit, I was still rocking out, bro.
That was weird. I thought there was a good while long.
I know, right?
Okay. Well, that was all right. Cool. Good clip. It was a little jarring the way it ended there. We're right back into it. Austin, isn't it crazy how all these influencers be all over the place and seem to have no thoughts of their own, no guiding philosophy, anything? Isn't it crazy? Why do you think they'd be like that, Austin?
And it's so crazy.
So when I'm saying like somebody's an operative or whatever word you want to use, they're not like walking around on their off time pulling out their secret CIA ID card and badging into the main building. That's not what happens. Even if you go back to Project Mockingbird, they're just getting some talking points in a letter every once in a while. They're just saying, oh, you know what? Don't have this guy on your show, or don't allow this to be spoken about on your show, or if they talk about this, you're going to cut it out. There's simple things like that, some very basic instructions. And the way that somebody like a Gen Z person might get recruited is, let's just use you as an example. Somebody comes up and says, hey, man, I love your podcast, yada, yada. They're in a restaurant, a bar, whatever. And they say, I have a serious question for you, though. Are you a patriot? Would you consider yourself a patriot? Now I've got you locked into identity, right? And then I say, well, I have an offer for you. But before I show you anything, I just want you to say yes or no. Would you be willing to entertain the offer and look at what I have? And it might be uncomfortable. Would you be willing to look at it?
Sure.
Yep. Stage one is
I show you say no.
all of your browsing history, captures from your webcams on all of your phones and computers of you doing the most compromising shit you could ever possibly imagine. Every bad thing you've ever done, recorded in some way. And I'd say, I like your podcast. I think you're doing a great job, and I want to protect you. And I want to keep all this from the public eye. But we also want to give you $20,000 a month. So now you feel like you chose all of this. So you walk away not feeling like I shoved this in your face. I told you it was going to be stressful, and you agreed to it. And you agreed that you're a patriot and all the other agreements. And now if you say yes, the reason that you're doing this on your podcast is for your country, because you're not going to call yourself compromised. We have this thing called cognitive dissonance that keeps our brain from thinking I'm a bad person. So now, even though you're being asked to silence people, not have certain people on the show, leave something out of your podcast, you're telling yourself, and whoever's your handler is telling you, this is for the greater good. And you kept the Americans safe by doing that. And you'll tell yourself that, and you'll feel good about it. So when a person is like in this situation, they will feel good about what they're doing. Even if it feels a little off in the back of their mind, they'll still feel like at the end of the day, I'm doing the right thing.
I feel like there's got to be like a comedy skit here, because me and you were actually talking about this clip earlier today, and I just find it funny that like it almost is like a comedy to me, in the sense that like the intelligence agent thinking he's being slick, but he pulls you aside, and then like, let's imagine like even if it was just you're a normal dude, like, you know, whatever. I get people have conflicting thoughts, but like your average guy cranks it to normal porn. Like, let's be real, that's your average. So if you're just the average dude, and some dude's like, hey, I gotta, you know, if I could pull you aside, you know, it kind of seems ham-fisted. You're like, this is creepy. Okay, whatever. What does this guy have? I mean, somehow you accept it, and now you have this weird dude being like, yeah, and this is you looking at two chicks make out, and this is you know, and this is you know, fucking Lisa Ann gets creep-eyed, and then yeah, and like, and you know, even that by itself would be like, what the fuck? Like, can you imagine if I, like, me and you, I got you into some sort of private situation, and then I was like just sitting there like, you know, hey, come here, look at this tablet, and we're just like going through like your internet search history, like even just like say like just porn or whatever, even if you had nothing bad on there, it would still be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Exactly.
Like, what is like, that would be such a creepy, like, I could totally get how most men would just be like, because it is like, there is this like that chilling effect, because like, I mean, I've joked that like, why wouldn't they just plant it? Like, that kind of almost really is mafia shit right there, where like, if you don't jump to, why wouldn't they just plant shit? If they are like this brazen, they're like just kind of whatever, you know, kind of willy-nilly, oh, here's your internet search history, I've managed to pull this all up. You're like, in your head, you probably might be thinking, why wouldn't they just plant some shit on me? Yeah. So it is like, even you can be a completely normal, you can be a Nick Shirley motherfucker out here, and they could be like, here's that one time you fucking looked at a boobie online. You're like, oh my God. Like, And I don't know. It's just I think there's something really creepy about that. Like you could just get normal people with that shit, and like there's enough weak-willed people that would just be creeped out enough by that. I mean, just don't get in that situation. Say no. Like if someone's trying to be like, let me tell you about this deal. Like, I don't know. This is where pattern recognition comes in hand. And when you're like, some of these spooky motherfuckers, I don't know, maybe you should have a little bit of pattern recognition, which I guess a little bit to this influencer game. I don't know if you've seen how many people have been burned lately when you're like, these are the same people just like weeks ago were fucking boosting all these people's shit. And you're like, oh my God, they don't actually have any, real values. And you're like, yeah, no shit, you stupid fuck. These people glow like the sun.
Exactly.
PSYOP.
Yeah, no doubt. And I also just personally imagined a world where you say no, and then they lean on the David Glettys of the world to essentially, as he laid out on your show, create a website out of whole cloth dedicated to smearing you publicly and claiming that you are in fact a pedophile of some kind, and even providing false evidence of this just to bolster the false allegations and ruin your reputation in the public spotlight, and effectively render you unhireable as well, just moving forward. So again, beyond the reputational damage, I just think this is a window into how they would effectively apply this method. And as much as the source itself glows like the sun and is clearly not a reliable person, I think it's a good point to at the very least acknowledge and internalize in a way, just moving forward, because be very skeptical of everyone and everything that you see on your algorithmic feed, because the vast majority of people who are organic and I think genuinely authentic and engaging in this just environment of social media and content creation, if they're just have good intentions and good faith actors, then they're not getting this unnatural priority spotlight. Yeah, it's very much suppressed, and I feel that personally. Maybe I don't use social media enough, but still,
I mean, I don't either. But I've a little bit more invested my time in Twitter. I've never been like, I don't know, made it my everything. Like whatever. I mean, I have other things in my life, but yes, you can feel it. If you can sense a disturbance in the force, you can tell. I can tell people are getting suppressed, which is why it's like you see these people, especially these big influencers, are just fucking. Glazing Elon's balls, even still to this day, with silly fucking, lines of fucking free speech, yada, yada. And it's like, dude, this is an algorithm. Like, yeah, cool. Maybe you're getting tens of thousands, but like, or whatever, or this or that. Although funny enough, a lot of these same people are, for every up, there's a down. You try to coddle up to the wrong people and realize, oh shit, you get lulled into a false sense of security, and now you're like, oh, now I'm the one being ratioed, and it's like, oh, maybe the algo is not in my favor, but it's like, to some extent, you also leaned into it too much and probably maybe fell trapped to these social forces, and now here you are in this stupid position because you allowed to lull yourself into this populist sentiment and base your thinking too much off of what people think. And this is part of the brain rot of what social media does to some extent. I mean, there is some degree of like, it's good to interconnect, but especially when you have an algorithm, people do have this feedback loop of like, what should I think? Oh, what is, especially where like political minded people, where the idea is like populism, we're trying to, to some degree, a lot of people will, I mean, there's this like double-edged sword. People say, oh, Twitter is not real life. To some extent there is, but there is also, especially when you get to those like thousands, large, like things are hitting, then you are like, why is this hitting the algo? Why is it hitting like this? There's a little bit. I mean, I guess if we're hanging out in the like tens to hundreds of, likes, you can be like, oh, you can kind of get a feel for what's organic and what's not. But once you get up to the thousands, I mean, yeah, every now and then might be someone hit a banger, had a really great, interesting point. But I mean, once you get into those really hitting, you're like, something's up. You're like, I don't know. There's a little bit like you can feel it. I mean, there's certain people obviously have like monster reaches or whatever. I mean, we're talking in broad brushes here, but I don't know. I don't know how anyone, if you're someone who's even under probably 50,000 followers on Twitter, you should be able to feel it. It's really like only the probably over 100,000 that are like, oh, this is a great free speech fucking. You're like, oh wow, isn't that interesting?
Exactly, and very convenient as well. But they've co-opted and weaponized the algorithm, honestly, and that's where they control the outcome of what is allowable opinion within public discourse, and in what has now effectively evolved into the modern public square at a certain level, and I mean that alone, and just as far as weaponizing the immigration crisis in itself. You have I did see this. I think it was Jason from a Free Thought Project, right? And I just saw one of the memes that he had posted, and it's Lisa Simpson giving a speech behind a podium to basically a crowd, an audience of anons, and or maybe just members of the general public. And basically he says, one thing is clear, MAGA hates protesters way more than they hate elite pedophiles and institutionalized child trafficking. And I just thought it was, very poignant and perfect to point out as well, as far as just the level of three shootings in 3 weeks in Minneapolis, obviously, and as far as ICE Border Patrol agents being involved directly, 2 of them were, I think, inevitably led to mortality, right? To the shootings, which we've addressed directly on the show. But just as far as the World Economic Forum, they were just discussing how COVID was, I mean, they legitimately said this out loud. COVID-19 was the test of social responsibility and the public's willingness to comply.
Yeah, and here we are. Literally the most pure dialectic of it, the exact fucking same thing. Don't go out, don't protest, stay inside. Like, don't you go out, don't you interfere with the thugs in the street. Like, no, you should socially distance yourself from them.
Exactly.
Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, oh yes, no, you shouldn't be bringing guns to protest, guys. You should allow the state to determine how you go about your life. Like, yeah, it is the most. I mean,
boy, we sure own the libs, right? Which is basically the public sentiment.
Get fucked in the ass to own the libs.
Yeah, as we obey and submit to the permanent establishment, we are owning the libs, which is some kind of victory in their mind's eye. Which that alone, it proves the level of ideological capture that they're unfortunately enduring and suffering through at the very moment. Which, again, man, when you have members of the Border Patrol just taking photo ops in front of the Palantir building as the riots are being staged, it's hard not to just identify this Soros strategy of tension at play here. It's a little bit too difficult, especially just seeing the individual Antifa general, right? What was his name? Kyle Wagner, who was like in a dress and apparently was had like the face tattoos and everything, and he's the one who was urging armed clashes with ICE agents, basically, and he was a recruiter for Antifa on social media as well. But the guy himself just very much seems like he was almost a controlled op in a certain way, right? And just as far as his recruitment videos, at one point he just after the shooting of Alex Pretti, right? He says, "Get your fucking guns and stop these fucking people," right? Which, again, it's like, don't get me wrong. I think we should always be in search of common ground, obviously, and anytime we could agree on something, it's just, can we agree upon just as far as like, can we agree on this for the right reasons, right? Is essentially the point that I'm attempting to make. And how in hell can we form a revolutionary mindset through this process if we're fracturing off into just complete and total division within the inverted moral landscape through the escalating culture war, effectively waging a war against our own best interests is the point, right? And I think, once again, no better example than what's currently happening in Minnesota. And we all have a very short memory if we don't remember the masked man who showed up at the right, who was shot again by that strange Gladio operative who showed up looking like Clint Russell in the bald mask. You remember? And the daughter was there and answered the door and then called the authorities.
Oh, the Vance Bolter guy. Vance Bolter, yes, yeah. Vance Bolter, in Minneapolis too, wasn't it? It was
Minneapolis.
in Minneapolis. Yes, so like, man, it does make you wonder these shadow games. What's going on? Because he was the one who supposedly had a list. He was supposedly came from Tim Walz. He was supposedly hired by Tim Walz or something. That's That's supposedly what is fucking. I read the manifesto on the show a while ago. So like, that was his claim, is that like, oh yeah, Walz. It was very convoluted. I mean, it felt like some weird. Maybe real. It feels like a Fed manifesto, but like, I don't know exactly what happened there. I have no idea. It could be a crazy person, but yes, there was a masked man. That supposedly had some sort of, didn't he have actually some sort of weird security job that was actually, so like some of his story, from my understanding, did kind of check out and did glow quite a bit. So you're like, this is a little weird.
Exactly. Yeah. Once again, it seems like it's almost a geographical hub or a headquarter of some kind for some of this domestic destabilization operation to play out. And on top of the Alex Pretti shooting, obviously, and as I had mentioned, the 3 shootings in 3 weeks, I think it's interesting that apparently ICE agents attempted to order Minneapolis police away from the crime scene after Pretti was shot, but Chief O'Hara refused and instructed the officers to preserve the area. So instantly you had the green obvious vests that they were wearing to identify themselves and distinguish themselves from, as far as the National Guard from the Border Patrol agents and the local law enforcement. But you had this strange development in the story as far as the narrative almost pivoting and shifting in a different direction as far as when the DHS is probing this murder of Alex Pretti, whether the agents killed the VA nurse following an accidental discharge during the ICE raid, right? Now, I thought that was interesting because DHS is apparently currently investigating whether Border Patrol agents mistakenly believed they were under fire after an apparent accidental gun discharge, which is what led to them essentially executing him point blank range with 10 shots. And so yeah, they're looking into, apparently they thought they were being fired upon when they fatally shot Alex Pretti, and so they accidentally discharged Pretti's Sig Sauer P320, right? The pistol that he had, and it was being held by the agent who removed it from, because obviously it was concealed on his person. If you watch the clip, he clearly has his phone, right? And the fact that they just escalated this in every single opportunity they were given, very aggressive, man. And also it seems like, according to this report, they're petrified. Why are you in the field of operation? You're so terrified when I haven't really seen much documentation of any ICE agents being brutally slaughtered in the street by protesters. One of them got bit, obviously, which I do think is very interesting. But, but as far as good, yeah, I mean. But Pretti, he was. To
be fair, I don't know the circumstance. If I knew the specific circumstance, I might be like, "You shouldn't have bit the ICE officer." But given all context, right. I don't have much qualms going. Yeah, fuck you.
Exactly. And I think just knowing that, obviously, if you look into Pretti himself, he was a VA ICU nurse, I believe. So again, you have the VA kind of getting an interesting press opportunity, and he was obviously legally permitted to carry the weapon, and it's just very strange when you actually watch the full video. But officials initially said Pretti was brandishing the weapon as federal officers were conducting immigration enforcement operations. Obviously, that was the original narrative. Kash Patel's running his mouth. Kristi Noem can't shut up. Amy Klobuchar is gutturally speaking like a man. I don't understand. she's the most off-putting person, but anyway. And so they said it was 100%, according to the DHS probe, it was 100% an accidental discharge by the agent that relieved that person of their weapon, because everyone's guns were out. They think that there's a shooting. One source told the investigators. So this is when you have, obviously, Kristi Noem saying that Pretti was violently resisting arrest and that a federal agent fired his weapon because he was in fear for his life. And but anyway, the just as far as like the initial interaction between them, I mean, they were entirely escalating and aggressively pulling him back into the direct physical interaction and engagement and conflict. And that in itself, I felt like was a utter failure on the part of the Border Patrol agents, in my opinion. And obviously not, I don't believe, I mean, well, it seems as if that through their training in the IDF, this is how they're trained to occupy domestic citizenry, is effectively what their training involves. And that includes, nationwide, as far as the police chiefs and their training, just status quo in terms of the training itself is it's very interesting that they go to Israel and are fundamentally trained up by members of the IDF. But anyway, so yeah, just the fact that these individuals, the Border Patrol agents, were that concerned. They were legitimately terrified. And by the way, why did they have their guns out? I do find that very interesting. That in itself would be grounds for, inherent escalation.
Why did they feel the need to bring a gun to a protest?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Why did they feel the need? Like, what do they shouldn't be bringing gun to. And you know what? Actually, I mean, while I joke, they actually, unironically, they should not be bring guns to protests. Like, they shouldn't. Right. Like, there used to be a time where we didn't have, I know, like, it feels like mamby-pamby, like, soft shit, but no. What I'm saying is the populace should be heavily armed, and, like, you shouldn't be arming, what are, minute, like, sure, maybe there's some, you can make some argument, you can make an argument like cops should be, like, whatever, sure, okay. But like with practical, but unless they're like literally law enforcement, like an actual cop, if there's someone doing, like, honestly, like if we're gonna get into bureaucratic mindset, the way this should be being done is they should be getting accompanied by cops to do this, and it should be kind of almost the same way like not that I've ever had CPS call them or anything, but from my understanding, like, say how CPS or something would work, where like they would have to be working in conjunction with somebody. Like, you don't just get to do that. Like, the idea is that we're not supposed to get to where government agencies are all fucking going around carrying guns. Right. Like, it's no, like, sorry, like, fuck you. Like, the idea is we're more powerful than you. Eat a dick. Like, it's not even something about mamby-pamby, like, oh no, we can't have guns. I want them to have sweet little guns that shoot out water and say stop. Like, no, I'm saying fuck you. Like, you should have the consent of the governed. And I think it's very, very clear. I know there's all people paying, and yeah, there's probably truth to that, but I think it's pretty clear. The city has spoken down to the mayor. Even if you believe in this sort of stuff, the governor has spoken. They want them the fuck out.
Exactly. So I know. And the bottom line is that all of this wasn't avoidable. And none of this should effectively have happened whatsoever. And again, the concept of the use of deadly force that we're bogged down debating for absolutely no apparent reason, because no one seems to be able to maintain consistent moral values in terms of their just critical thinking skills and interpretation, ability to interpret the news cycle and the propaganda and the nature of the social engineering playing out. And once again, they're always manufacturing consent, but this new level of force obviously requires the permission of the public in a way, and that is just by the public of the concept of allowable opinion and how they effectively do manufacture consent for this dystopian outcome. And so anyway, it seems like with this new level of force and escalating tension and violence that's playing out in terms of the civil rights, I guess, or immigration specifically, they essentially they hope to achieve and engineer the conditioning to such a level to where there's really no accountability. You know what I mean? No accountability whatsoever as a consequence being called for, and we're all once more bogged down and not addressing the crux of our issues and the root cause of we're not able to even identify our enemy properly within the concept of the art of war. And if that is the current situation we find ourselves in, then worry about your family. Stop trying to essentially save the world in one fell swoop, because that is a collectivist poison pill that really destroys people. And I think that, and also leads you into the embracing the inverted moral landscape very much. And I think I just personally had a direct example of this, as far as, it seemed for some strange reason, the majority of people that I grew up with in Northwest Arkansas seem to have embraced this very progressive and liberal ideological perspective politically. And I get it. Maybe it's due to being a prisoner of your own experience, not necessarily breaking outside of the geographical, kind of constriction that keeps you your mind from obviously being open and considering new ideas. I think what I see playing out here, especially with the reactionary state of, and again, I mentioned one battle after another. This is legitimately the plot of the film that we're witnessing in real time, and revelation of the method is real. And I do think escalating the culture war through the manufactured immigration crisis was by design. And so you have all of these individual people, even people I know and love and care for, and I know have good intentions, specifically progressive white women who seem to, and this doesn't, obviously, it's not entirely isolated to liberal white women, but you get the point, right? It's essentially they are filled with self-loathing and this level of self-hatred while they're suffering through this strange identity crisis. And the people that I'm kind of referring to, right, without naming anyone, is essentially they have no discipline in their lives and aren't actively let's just say implementing a rigorous physical activity to the point to where they've legitimately, even, I think this is a part of the struggle of the suffering through the identity crisis, is these girls who were once considered to be pretty in school or whatever, right? They get a little bit older and then they phase out of that just that more attractive state, and due to the lack of discipline and obviously physical activity, they tend to no longer be very appealing to the opposite sex. And so they end up embracing these very, just again, inverted ideas, right, and concepts within this context. And so I think that lures them into and almost kind of seduces them into embracing identity politics as a direct result of not being honest with the fact you're in the midst of an identity crisis. And so, the direct consequence of that is they're out here fighting windmills like Don Quixote, as I mentioned privately, right? Convinced they're somehow saving the world while simultaneously being the most racially obsessed people that I know personally. And so one of the people that I'm specifically referencing, I saw in their stories as a direct reaction of the immigration crisis and the shootings by ICE in Minnesota. The reaction was to say, I know I am white people, but I am tired of white people. And it's just like the level of just inability to actually even comprehend the issue at large. It's just, honestly, it's extraordinary. And I think there's so many others that are plagued by this very naive, understanding of the power paradigm in general. it leads to them essentially worshiping at the feet of these political puppets, and it's very sad to see. But false hope, unfortunately, is within these people, and this is why they're consistently outraged, right? But anyway, it's not. I don't blame, obviously, and I'm not blaming them. I almost, in every way, I almost pity anyone who is suffering through this inability to be honest with themselves and reflect on their own personal growth. And in no way am I in the best shape that I could be in, obviously, but yeah, this is a weakness. It's a psychological, again, it's brain rot, but it's also, what's the term as far as the mind virus, right? It's almost a consequence of the woke mind virus, but I think it really took root in a much more interesting way, and it will continue to ultimately affect the outcome of our political environment. So it's unfortunate, man. And when you can't identify your enemy, you will construct one of your own. And that, I think, is what we're witnessing in real time. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
100%, brother. I'm trying to get you out of here a good time so you can go get some rest. I think we've covered a lot of it. Austin, you want to let people know where they can find you, and we'll get out of here. Appreciate everyone who called in, supports the show, all that stuff. Love you all. Good to see you guys here on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern every week. But yeah, Austin, in this great time, us chimps together strong. So and where can people find you? Any final thoughts, anything of the like?
Man, honestly, I'm finally going to go through with the Richard Gage interview on 9/11 on Thursday, so that should be a lot of fun. Controlled demolition. I'm sure we'll get into the details of that, and beyond that, I mean, obviously, we're finally going to do part 7 of Dutro as well on Thursday night, so that should be perfect. As long as nothing else comes out, it feels like no matter what we do, something happens. But I feel like we could actually, make a point to get it done this time. But anyway, and then on Friday, I think I'm going on with, I think her name's Danielle. I think I'm trying to remember now. I'm sorry, but she's from the Rabbit Hole podcast. She's really cool. I enjoyed our first discussion, but I was brought on to discuss Columbine, and unfortunately we never got there. So I'm going back on to right the wrong. But yeah, anyway, it should be a busy rest of the week, but I'm excited. After this week, though, I'm really going to buckle down and finally get back on the solo project. So I think next week I'll finally start making some legitimate headway and start schizoing out a little bit more in a just another, let's just say, never-ending rabbit hole. But anyway, you already know how much I love you, brother, and how much I appreciate that we have the opportunity and the platform to just engage in open-minded discussions about these critical issues that I think, I think what's most valuable is that we're perfectly willing to just admit if we had a wrong take or we were potentially even misled.
If I ever had one.
Yeah, exactly, right. No, but I'm just saying, I think the objective pursuit of truth, as I've said so many different times, is what I love so much about these opportunities. So you're my brother. I love you. I love all of you here, and you guys know to find me at the Underclass Podcast. Definitely support the Patreon if you have the means, and check out whatever this is. We just dropped episode 42 last night, so nothing but love.
Hell yeah! Let's get back to that post show. Hang out with them a little bit. Maybe we'll do a little bit inverse of what we normally do. Usually I have to jet to go to bed, and then Austin. But I want to let Daddy get some sleep. Mama will hang out with the fans. In his stead. But for those who want to support what I'm doing, check out the Morning Dump, all that stuff. We'll be going live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. But if you want to support me, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, and Twitter as well, at Tower Gang Jose. And if you want to support the show the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Lowest level is $2. That gets you access to early episodes. I do about 1 to 2 episodes per week behind the paywall. You can get the ad-free RSS feed. You get the Telegram. You get access to pre-show, post-show, and video calls on this show right here. Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I give a big shout out to my sponsors, which is the highest level of my Patreon. Is a big thank you for their support. My previous co-host and entire gang, at Learn Toad, also at Brigade D's, at ZOVRCK, at _InvitZeal, Tim Tull, at John Klebel, big fan of the show Torme, at Wayne Tackless, One Her Car for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jacob Wintergrad at the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. I appreciate all of you guys' support. But yeah, I'll be live tomorrow at roughly 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about. I thought I had an interesting one today, especially wanted to get intricacies of all this stuff. We chimped out big time, so if you want to see a more animated version, go check that out. But that, guys, we'll see you guys next week at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Love you all. Bye-bye.